coaching. Should be live.
Hi, everybody. This is Certified Life Coach Institute, and it's Tuesday, and we have another live. We have a full house today, which is exciting. We are here with some of our master certified life coaches, as well as some of our staff. And so welcome, everybody. We're going to talk today about where they're at, what they're doing, and if they have any questions about what's going on. I think we're going to have a little conversation about workshops, group coaching, and how to convert people from being just followers to being somebody that's actually handing you money. And we're also going to talk about a little bit about their experience in level 2, which they all completed recently. So let's begin by introducing everybody. I'm going to begin by introducing our staff. Desi, would you like to go first?
Hi, everyone. My name is Desiree Slusher, and I am one of the facilitators here with Certified Life Coach Institute. And when I'm not facilitating, I am a spiritual coach and intuitive medium psychic. It's great to be here with everybody.
And up next, we have Lisa.
Hi there. I'm in not so sunny Colorado today. Looks like we're going to have a thunderstorm any moment, so I may go mute if it gets noisy. I am also a couples coach, as well as one of the facilitators here as well, and I hope to share with you some great tidbits as we go through today's exploration with our Master Certified Life Coaches. Thank you.
And up next, Jerome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jerome. I serve on the CLCI staff. Hopefully I can squeeze some questions in while we converse about level 2. Excited to be back for another Tuesday live and ready to get going.
And now it's our students' turn. And we're gonna go backwards. It's usually ladies first. We're gonna do fellas first. Chris.
Go backwards. It's against everything that's ever been taught.
That's why I did it.
Hey, my name's Chris Helman-Toller. Been coaching for a couple years. Decided to finally formalize stuff, and love what this group has been able to do to help me. I've primarily focused on helping individuals transform their mindset about what they want to be when they grow up, so that they can focus more on characteristics and principles as opposed to positions or power.
And up next, we have, let's go with Carrie.
Hi, my name is Carrie Lauderdale Olsen, and I empower women to build new lives they love after divorce. So I have been coaching women informally for several years and leading support groups for divorce recovery. I recently launched a podcast, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, and recently completed my master certification.
Thank you. Welcome, Carrie. And next, Tracy.
Yes. Hi, Tracy Wilson, and a new certified master life coach. I literally just finished like 2 weeks ago. So I am still developing my niche and finding where I'm going to serve best. And I am from Memphis, Tennessee, but currently in sunny Tampa, Florida.
Welcome. And last but not least, Bobby. Lynn.
Hey everyone, I'm Lynn Dawson. I am from Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, so just south of Jacksonville, Florida. And I guess I like to say I'm a recovering consultant and have become a master life coach, which I'm really excited about. And I've really learned so much about the difference in the two from coaching people as opposed to consulting companies. So it's really been a wonderful, wonderful experience. And I am currently actually transitioning my company. My company is Power Up Training and Consulting, and we are transitioning it to Power Up Coaching. So I'm very excited.
Welcome. And I'm Brooke. I am I do the marketing here as well as a few other things, and I'm also a coach. And let's get started with where you guys are at. We had a little conversation before we started. We'll begin with Carrie. Carrie, you wanted to talk about your podcast a little bit, so let's start there.
Sure. Thank you. I launched my podcast, which is the Recovering Cinderella podcast, actually the day that I started my master certification. So it was just a few weeks ago. And the podcast, my followers on social media all follow Recovering Cinderella, and they're all women going through divorce recovery or going through a divorce. So the podcast is a little bit unique in that I interview recovered Cinderellas each week. So it's a woman who has been through a divorce and made it to the other side and has rebuilt a new life. And so she talks about what she went through and advice she would give somebody going through it now, and looking back what she wished she had known. And as women are going through divorce, I think one of the key things, they always feel alone and feel like nobody really understands what they're going through. And even though the stories are as unique as the people, there's still some commonalities there. And so my goal is to have a podcast that inspires women who are going through a divorce to realize they're not alone and that there is hope and that their story didn't end with their divorce.
Okay. And you had a question about that.
I did. So I have been informally coaching people for many years, women through divorce, and launched a social media channel about a year and a half ago, and have thousands of women that follow me all over the world. And then decided to launch this podcast. So for me, I've been having women ask me to formally coach them, and I didn't feel like I was equipped, which is one of the reasons that I went through the certification. So now I have this podcast going, I have these followers on social media. How I'm struggling with how I convert those people into actual paying customers, either coaching clients or launching a support group type system where it's small groups and I facilitate those small groups, so group coaching, if you will. So that's what I'm struggling with right now, is how I transition that.
Okay. And Lisa, I think you had a thought about it.
Well, my question is, how do they know that you are now a business versus what you've been doing? How did they know that transition?
That's a really great question. So what I've been trying to do is I talk about it on the podcast, because the podcast launching kind of coincided with my certification. So I talk about it on the podcast. I've been doing live feeds, although not as many as I probably should have. And then last week, I have a database of about 600 women that have signed up for my newsletter. I sent out a broadcast message saying, here's what's going on. Here's the podcast. By the way, I'm a master certified life coach. Here's a couple of options for you. So, but didn't convert any. And I have 20 years of marketing. So this is kind of one of those, I should know better, but when it's your own business, you kind of step back and you're like, okay, I'm not doing the basics. I need to go back to square one.
So when you are sharing all of the amazing things that you're doing and putting out there, and you're doing the right things, I'm hearing all the good information, I'm still not clear on how you're saying, buy my service.
That's one of the things I wanted to bring up. It sounds like you have so much going on. Like you have podcasts, you have this, you have that. But when you're presenting people with a lot of options and not giving them a clear path to you. So my feeling is that in doing the podcast and this, you're not giving, it's not a direct route. So it sounds like the funnel isn't clear, essentially. So to me, it feels like if you're sending out an email, instead of talking about everything that you're doing, you should just be talking about your coaching and just have one call to action, just one. It's to me, that's the feeling I get, is that you've got so much going on and you want to share it. You're so excited, which is awesome. But I think it's about narrowing the focus in this case.
I completely agree. And like I said, it's hard when it's your own business and you're so excited and you're wanting to say everything. And I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I'm throwing way too many mixed messages out there. I need to.
Yeah, and then people don't know where to go or what to do. So I just would get really clear. Like, so my question for you, what is the purpose of your podcast? So when you do a podcast, and I'm not saying from what it's doing for the world. I mean, what it's doing for your business. What purpose does the podcast serve for your business?
I feel like it's a platform for my business because there are no advertisers right now. The only thing I talk about are my coaching services, my support groups that I offer. So I look at it as a platform. So the stories are a reason to listen, and then
it's higher on your funnel. So we're catching. So then my next question is, what's the next step then from the podcast? Where do you take them next?
So I drive them to my website.
Okay, so that podcast is strictly for your call to actions are go to my website from here.
Yep.
And now here's my next question. When you send them to your website, what does your landing page look like? Is it
right now it has my online course that I created about a year ago, and the podcast is on the front page, blogs and testimonials. So I probably need to mix that up and put the coaching front and center.
I think you need it sounds to me again like you just need people want the most direct route. So from point A to point B to point C to you, right?
Yeah.
So I would just really narrow the focus down so that they know this is where I click to get to you.
And really focus in on that point that you are now a coach and you want to be hired. What's going to make me, the client, want to hire you? And that piece is what you're going to put in front of their face. The bonus or the accessory item, if you will, are your podcasts, are all of the other things right now to help drive people interested. But once they're there, you want to nab them.
They're like the lead magnets, right? So they're the ones catching them in and bringing them into you. And then ultimately, though, the final goal is to get coaching with you. So that's where everything has to. Desi, I see you chomping at the bit there.
Side note, sorry, I hope it wasn't too loud. Yeah, so going back to the way that you set up your funnel, like Brooke had said, and Lisa, is it needs to be a clear, crisp, direct route. So what I see is podcasting, you own it, which is awesome, but you don't own the followers. You need to collect their email addresses.
Right.
And so using the podcast, go to my website, download my free video series or whatever it is, collect their email address. And then from there, once they've signed up for that, what do you want them to do next? Is it focused this season on one-on-one coaching, or are we focusing on a group program? Or are we just focusing on collecting email addresses to build an email campaign later on? But I think, you know, with the podcast, the most important thing is how do I capture their information? And then once you got those email addresses, you can do so much with email campaigns. And market to them in their email box.
Email marketing is one of the most successful forms of marketing out there. So don't ever discount email marketing. You will get the highest level of conversion typically from your emails because those people have subscribed. So they've already granted you permission to market to them. So in that moment, they're more open to it when they click and open your email. Mind you, don't ever imagine for 1 minute if you're going to get, you're going to have 1,000 emails go out. And it's going to be a fraction that convert. It's a fraction. Don't expect, 999 to come back. It's going to be far fewer. But that's why developing that group and making it bigger and bigger is important. And that's about expanding your funnel. And your podcast is fantastic for that. Mm-hmm. Great point with capturing their information. Yeah. On your website, do you have analytics too?
Yeah, I do.
And also, but beyond that, one of the things she good point. Let's get their info, but let's get them paying too. So let's get if you're going to start doing an offering to them, because it sounds like you have a lot to offer, that can be a minor pay, something not a lot of money, something in a small, I would say definitely under the 100 mark, probably under the 50 mark, even if it's a $10, $9, I've even said 99 cents sometimes, something offering. Then you can start to sort through who is going to pay you and who isn't. That's really key, because especially coming from with social media, you got a lot of people that probably will never reach into their pockets. So what you need to do is start to differentiate in your audience and track who is actually willing to pay you. And so that's why that offering she mentioned is great, but do it if you can. Offer that or 3 things, the next level. If it's one thing for free, have a little library, a mini library. So this is one in a series. And you can get this series, which is all 3 of them or 5 of them, whatever. I'll use meditations as an example. You can do one meditation for focus. And then you can say, but if you want the whole series and do the one for free is 10 minutes long, then the whole series, which has the hour-long meditation and the 30-minute meditation, that you can buy for $9.99 or $10 or $7. Nines, people love 9s and they buy with 9s. So use your 9s. Then you can start to sort through who your converters are and who you are not, like which ones you really want to start to market to and fine tune your marketing in that way.
Great feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, but just make sure, it sounds like you're like everybody, you're excited about everything you're doing. So just even with landing pages, get really specific. So if it can be as simple as just a page with one button and some information, but because it's only one option, people are so much more likely to click it And then you have control over where they're going and directing them. Whereas it can just be a free for all if there's too many options. And a lot of times overwhelming. So they'll stop. They won't even click, you know, because they don't know where to go. Does that help? I mean,
No, it helps a lot.
okay.
I'll be up redoing my website tonight. So.
All right, let's ask Tracy. Do you want to talk? Do you have any questions? Do you have anything come up since?
Yes. Well, currently I've been practicing putting my outreach with the community and friends, churches, getting people to who want to, you know, just do some mock coaching, so I can work towards my ICF accreditation. I'm like just taking it full process of it. And I'm also looking into finding my niche. I know I want to work with women. I think I have a good rapport or good connection with women. And I want to possibly work with companies as well, perhaps teaching some type of emotional intelligence or diversity trainings or something like that. And I'm also looking into trying to get it online workshops, so that once I do them, it's done, and then you can purchase it. That's where I want to go.
That is the ever coveted evergreen content.
Yeah.
That passive income is what makes people millionaires.
Yes.
Which is, there is so much good there, but there is also so much warning I have as well.
Yeah.
But let's start with, I'm going to talk about two things with you real quick. The niche part, you trying to narrow that down a little bit, and then also let's talk about the workshop, because I think we also had, it was Bobby Lynn, right? You wanted to talk a little more about workshops as well. Okay. So first the niche though. So you said women and possibly companies. You have been reaching out to people though. Who has been responding to you out of curiosity?
Well, I have a Facebook group, so I'm already, I just did that ahead of time. So I've been working with them, and it's an all women's group. So it's already kind of catered to what I wanted to do. And then I announced that I just received my certification, and a lot of them were, and I was like, if you need or would like to have some coaching, and they wrote me, I was like, just DM me. So I've been getting some from that, and just friends and passing the word, asking them to ask their friends. So it's free coaching right now. So that's easier to get to.
Red flag.
Yeah.
So how come free? Why are you doing it free? Is my question.
Because I just finished, and that way it invites them in, and I can build a connection. So
Lisa, I saw you.
That was what my question was, is now that you've got some experience under your belt, you're understanding what the coach model is,
yes.
You've been practicing it, how are you going to now, I'm wondering, getting some money to do coaching,
yes.
I think is ultimately what you'd like to do, right?
Right.
So how do you think that will transition from you going from free and transitioning to be a paid service?
Great question. And I like what Brooke said earlier with the low hanging fruit. So I'm aware of some of how that works. So I have some ebooks, which again, I've been quarantined for how long? So I have like 2 ebooks. So that's what I was going to start off with. I'm also an artist, so I have a few art creative projects that I can that I would like to have product wise that I could start off with, and see, like how you said, who's willing to pay, and then maybe give them a discount. So then be like, hey, you were free, and now we're not transition, but then give them a discounted rate for having them on.
I think you need to, I mean, if we can right now,
yes.
let's figure that out. Like, let's figure out is it 1 session for free? Is it 5 sessions for free? Is
one.
It a call?
One. That's where we stop. We're only doing 1 free session.
Okay. And are you communicating that beforehand?
I am. Yes.
You are? Okay. So you're very clear. So I think.
Let me interrupt just a second. Here's
a
little bit of a transition on the 1 free session.
Yes.
One of the things back in the earlier time frame that I did was, if you book and paid for your first session, you got your second session free. So that was kind of a guaranteed in that in flow and already going,
Right.
that they paid for their first one. They were already going to be in for their second one, so that flow was already happening. So maybe that's something to consider.
It's I'm going to do that. I love that. I'm writing that down.
Yes.
That's good, Lisa. Thank you.
Well, and then also one of the things that I know Lisa does as well for her first session is the first session is always a little longer because you've got this introductory thing going on. So she gives the first what would be an hour, or what would be the cost of an hour. She says, I'll give you an hour and a half. So you get, if it's $150 for an hour, the first session you get an hour and a half because it's going to be longer, but it's for the same 150 mark essentially. So that's another way. Again, you're an artist, right? And you light up when you talk about your art. Why aren't you combining art and coaching? I mean, are you combining art and coaching? It sounds like that's your niche, starting to move towards your niche.
And it is. I am combining art and coaching for sure. So when I do my coaching, whether it's vision boards, I guess I want to incorporate that too, or expressive art where they are communicating through that way, or what else, even writing, poetry, because I do that as well. So I'm going to create creative avenues for them and I to connect more. But I also have my own art, which is going to be separate. You know what I mean? So.
But also, I mean, that's beautiful using and it's not as common. You don't hear about it as much. So, I mean, I think that's a good area to market is say you can use, what I do is I use art and creative expression and coaching to help women, right? And let's get real quick let's get a little more specific. What kind of women are you helping? How old are they? What do they do? What do they look like? What do they do for fun? What are their pain points? Why do they want to coach?
All right. That's where we're at, and I've processed some of that. So it'll be women who want to help build confidence, who may feel overwhelmed. They want to release relief of anxiety or stress. Hence the arts, because that is a great avenue to help do that. And just also, like I said, maybe with their leadership goals too. So independent mothers or singles. And I'm thinking ages would be 25 to, I guess, 55. I don't know, somewhere around there.
So I want to challenge you.
Yes.
I want to challenge you to pick one thing that you're working on them with. If it's confidence, because it's all going to be, everything is linked. But
Okay,
I pick one thing if you can.
Anxiety. Yeah.
So that is who then you are. I mean, this is my best suggestion. Coaching women who suffer from anxiety, you use tools, creative tools to do so. And that is, your market is still huge. I mean, it's still a ton of people. Women with anxiety is huge. But that gives it gives people a specific reason to seek you out because they know this is what you do and your brand and what you give them. So just again, we want to help everybody with everything, but just narrow the focus. And when that's off, those wheels are off and that's rolling, then let's expand. If at all possible.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we'll talk group coaching, but Bobby, Lynn, do you want to ask?
Well, one of my questions is about the workshops, because I'm pretty focused in my niche, and I know that for me, it is transitional careers. So people that are transitioning in their career or people that are just entering the career workforce. How can I utilize workshops to have my business? I've heard a number of people mention that.
So when you say workshop, I want to get a little specific. What do you mean what do you envision a workshop is for you?
Oh no, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
I love what you were saying to Carrie earlier about having little things that they could download from her website. Mm-hmm. That's how I would envision something like that. That it would be a workshop or a snippet. I've even thought about doing a career assessment workshop because I have some career assessment tools. So I would love to do a career assessment workshop. Is that something though that you would advise doing live, and obviously paying customers, obviously they would have to, so they would do the career assessment before, and then it's something that we would work on together?
It would depend on the assessment really too. I think that's a big deal of like, how does that assessment work? Because I mean, there are things you can do. If you want it to be evergreen, then it has to be somewhat universal, right? It has to be.
And the other side of that is the people, the clients that are wanting your workshop, do they already know you? Or is this a built-in clientele? If they don't know you, then they're going to want live so that they can get a feel of who you are and experience what this is about. And then you can follow up with the pre-recorded ones.
So,
but if they already know you, they already know what your stand is, what your authenticity is, I guess is the word I'm looking for, then they will buy into the pre-recorded. So it's also, again, being really aware, what we've been speaking with everyone is knowing your target.
Right.
What is it about your target and what are their needs and where will they go and what will they go through to know that you are a valuable coach and I want to buy that concept.
So I also want to talk a little bit about, I know Desi has experience with this. I know Lisa does too. What kind of group coaching programs have you guys been to, attended, seen, been a part of? You just shared about the structure, because I know Desi's been to some, and I've worked on the other side of them. And what are those, so how do those look? Because I think there's a lot of question for coaches around, what does that mean, group coaching? How does that work? What is that structure like? Are you just coaching one person? Do you have a group of people? Are you coaching everybody? Are you teaching? So if we could talk a little bit, maybe, I think it would be helpful about what a program or a group coaching experience might look like or consist of. And I know Lisa and Desi, you guys have been a part of them. So do you want to begin, Desi?
Yes, so I just want to clarify, we're going from events to group coaching?
Well, hers was an assessment. We were talking about how to get a group of people. The hope is here, if I guess, is that you get a whole bunch of people in a room and you're able to then either charge them so that you can make more by the hour, right? So you're not just coaching one person, you're coaching 10. Mm-hmm. And then the even higher hope is to be able to just take that and then record it one time, put it on your website and sell it to others so that you can have the forever evergreen content. Not always work as easy as it sounds.
I'm going to say you're not going to coach 10 people. What you're going to help do is facilitate the coaching event to occur between them.
So explain what that looks like though, because that's still, you guys understand what I'm saying is, but not everybody has experienced this process. So if you can share what that looks like for everybody else and how that actually functions and works.
Yeah, so I've seen it several different ways. I've actually done them myself, and I've tried different styles to see which style worked best for me. And when you are working with a group setting, it's more like you're teaching, you're facilitating, and you're walking them through a process. So there isn't a lot of like one-on-one coaching. It's more like mentoring. It's more of giving them options to create their own life or whatever the message is. And so whether you do this on person or online, you have it divided by weeks, or you can have a one-day workshop and divided by hours in different, however you want the structure to be. And you can do breakout rooms, or you can just facilitate one big group. And I found that there's effective things and ineffective things that come with both sides of it. And so that's one way. Another way that I facilitated groups, which I actually love the most, is that I bring them in, right now it's on Zoom, and there's a common theme. So let's say anxiety or stress, or I can't sleep. And what I do is I just bring them all on, and in the comment box on Zoom, I say, what's your question this week? And I get an insight, And then I do a teaching and I hit all of their questions through the teaching. Now I'm doing it very intuitively. I'm doing it very on the fly as if I'm on a stage. But I tend to thrive better that way than planning a whole lecture and having to deal with slides and PowerPoint decks and worksheets. It is a lot to produce. So like I said, there's effective and ineffective ways.
So let's talk a little bit about that too, because there is, you can, oh yeah, Bobby, did you have a question?
Well, I just want to I have a quick question. Desi, how are you getting those people? How are you reaching those people to get them in for your class or your coaching session?
Definitely through social media. That has been my way since 2014. So I have a following on Instagram and Facebook and meetup.com. And so because I've been doing it for so many years, they know me, they trust me, and so they're now coming. And when you're brand new, you will take some time to build that know, like, and trust on social media. So it might not be right away. So then the other option is that you actually inbox people, you talk to people, you knock on doors, and you do it the old school way until you build up your following.
And that can be tiring, but it's good. So,
Yeah.
so one thing, as far as these, there's a couple. I feel I just want to provide a little clarity, but I think Lisa, do you want to say something?
Yeah, you also want to consider the people that you are already having in front of you, even if it's one or two, even if it's a small group, getting to the person who has a great way of interacting with other people. They already are going to sell your product without even having to do anything. So getting in front of people who have a natural tendency to be able to gab and share the things they're excited about, giving them some of attention is going to be really a bonus too.
Well, that's influencing. Like that's picking out influencers, finding somebody who's got a good following as well. If we're just talking social, or but even in public, or even, but really everybody's in a digital world at the moment. So let's keep it digital, I think. So that's really inviting influencers. And so that's one of those moments where we say, don't give away things for free. But if you know somebody that is vocal and putting it out there, and they're gonna, I call them buying at mentions, essentially is what it is you invite them to your class for free. But you can also be very clear, I'm having you this class for free. If you enjoy it, share. And just you want to be clear about that. You don't want to leave that up to chance and just let people come and take your class and never share that information. And then of course, in the moment, if it works and it serves, and you're coaching, you can pick them out. So one thing I wanted to point out really quick, just to provide clarity, I'm just going to give a little structure. So when we're talking group events, there is the group event option of you just get a whole bunch of people in a room and you do a teachable moment, and then you do like a Q&A. And that's kind of like a little class you can do. Then there is the option where you can do themed events, right? And those you guys took, when you took level 2, there was coaching that happened, right? In where everybody got to watch, where Dan would coach a student, right? You learned from those moments. So that's one of those things where you theme an event and then you randomly pick somebody or you say, okay, and you do a coaching session right in front, if they're willing. You of course ask if they're willing, and everybody learns from that moment, right? And when you're doing that, you're showing, look at how I can, look at my skill set right here. And people will be like, oh, and that works really well for the upsell afterwards, for you to upsell to a one-on-one coach from that. So again, though, for these groups, you should want to charge. You want to do a little price point. Now, to make that evergreen. So if you want to do that and make that evergreen, then we come to the workshop. And that's where you either are doing, a lot of people do 12-week programs, which is, I feel like it's getting saturated. So I'd be leery, because I think everybody is a 12-week program right now, and it's crazy. I think it's better to break it down into like 3-day themed, or 3 themed things, so that then you can give a taste. And if you want the whole thing again, you can sell it, you know? So you theme it. This one's about, I'm just going to focus. This one is about being, you know, getting more money. This one's about, I mean, whatever your pain points of your audience is, you're going to focus on those things and give it. That's where the evergreen can come in. is you can do a 3-day, and then if they couldn't make it, they can buy that later and watch it if you wish. And you can create a library, and then that takes you to memberships. There's lots of levels. But the workshop though depending on what you're asking, people will have a higher expectation, and depending on wherever you're putting this out, people will have a higher expectation. If you're doing a live event, your production value doesn't have to be actually as high as if you're doing something that is evergreen. People will want that to look more polished, and they're going to want to get more value from that. So per perceived value. So you're going to want to have a workbook maybe that accompanies it, or you're going to want to have slides that maybe, or graphics. And that's why it gets more expensive to produce evergreen content, because people have a higher expectation if you're not present, because your presence gives it value. When you're not actually physically present there, the value decreases. So
just like TED Talks, what you see is they have minimal amount of slides. They have a basic concept, maybe 5 slides, but they have a big discussion around it. The discussion timeline is a shorter version of it. So even consider something like that. If you're in a lecture moment, keep it to that 15-minute, 18-minute timeline, not a long dissertation concept, and then incorporate maybe a breakup interaction. So some of the groups that I've been doing for a really long time, they've done it all different ways, whether we just got with our partners, whether we stood up and mixed around the room. It's going to depend on where you're hosting, on what it allows to occur. Do you hear all those dogs?
No. What kind of activity? So, I mean, similar in many ways, like we do in level 2. We have activities where we did the Zulu greeting and but they're very powerful, teachable moments, right? And you can have those with your clients, and that's what I mean. There's no reason, and it can work for career. It can work for you. Honestly, Bobby Lynn, you could do your talk about assessment and what it is and the benefits and how it can work within a business and how you can place people based on results on assessment. If you're talking to managerial staff, and then the breakout is they do the assessment. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there. Chris, do you have a question, or have we answered it all for you?
You actually covered quite a bit, but so some of the things I had thought about obviously was the workshop approach. I've been through workshops myself. I'm going through another one right now. One that I've done in the past was a live one where we had a coach come on site where he worked with a team of a couple dozen of us. Now I'm doing one that is more of an online evergreen type content that I absolutely love. In fact, I appreciate the fact that it is a service that you can buy into and you have lifetime access, and you can come back and just renew that course as often as you want. It shows the confidence in the fact that it is evergreen. And there's several bonus materials that he throws in. So, you do the 12 weeks, but he's also got several other bonus modules that are encompassed in that.
Quickly, I just want to we've been saying evergreen, and we keep throwing it out there like anybody even knows what that is. There's a chance out there that there are people who have no clue what we mean when we say evergreen. So when we say evergreen, we mean content that you don't have to be present for, that is recorded, pre-done, and sold at a price, and that can exist forever online for you to make money and to have it just come in without having to do anything. It's done. I don't want to think about it again. Hopefully it generates some income. And that's what we mean when we say evergreen content. So I just wanted to clarify. Back to you, Chris.
No, that's great. I think the other thing to that is that the content itself is timeless. Not specific to, hey, here's what's going on during COVID, but you can come back through this material in 10 years when life has flourished, and 6 months from now, right? We don't want to wait 10 years. But anyways, so with that being said, I've been trying to tie in some of this stuff and figure out how do I want to create that multi-week course, but also how do I convince people to pay into that And as we've talked about, on my site, I've got, some of those low hanging fruits. Come here, subscribe, follow my blog, or download this free material if I get your email. I'm also working on a book right now, and I hope that as I publish that gives a low price point, a $15 product that they can spend or money on, or a very affordable ebook. Go ahead, Brooke.
There's been I myself, this is my own personal experience. I love to read, and there's been plenty of books I've gotten on Kindle that have led me to a website that I have gone through and ended up, following through and buying and pursuing, and because I enjoyed the book so much. So that's a beautiful, beautiful lead hook right there, and one that will hopefully generate new income as well. So
and when the book is written, let us know, because we'll feature it on our Facebook page.
I'd be happy to.
So what's your next step then? So you've got the low hanging fruit. Where did they go from low hanging fruit?
So right now, believe it or not, I'm actually purposely not trying to offer too much other stuff. I want to get the low hanging fruit and that foundational stuff, the wider portion of the funnel addressed, so that I can put the proper time into creating some of these other courses and materials. Right now, I've you make money by one-on-one sessions, and I've had a philosophy over the years that the best way to make money is to have others the residual income type thing. They can come back and get your services without you having to be there. So there's 100 different ways to have people come to you, whether it's workshops or books or fill in the blank, right? But I also don't want to go too wide and offer everything, because then next thing you know, you don't have any time to do anything except become a full-time content creator.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that that's who I want to be when I grow up.
So what's your plan? So I hear all these things, but it sounds again like so I love that you're taking the time to create your library, essentially your draws, your hooks, and making sure those are quality. What's the next step?
I'm actually planning to dovetail this into my day job. I know many of the folks who come through this program are looking to leave the corporate world and branch off, be self-employed and do their thing. That is actually not my long-term dream. I love what I do. I love the company I'm with. I love the people. I love the work I'm involved in. It provides a great living. I hope that I can use this coaching services and these other workshops as a separate stream of income to augment what I do, so that I'm better at what I offer, both at work and through my side gig. Okay,
so for my own clarity, what you do for work is something career related. It sounds like, and then you're coaching it similar, so you're kind of hoping they support one another, right? But two separate. So I guess where I'm lost is am I the only one who feels a little lost here? I just feel I feel like, okay, you've got your coaching and you've got your work. How are they going to mesh? What's the vision there? Like is it that and maybe it's just something I'm not clear on. Is it that you're pulling clients from one, or is it just that you're polishing up your skill set? I'm just curious.
A little bit of both. I appreciate that, and the fact that you're calling it out that it is unclear indicates that I'm not presenting it well. So thank you. I've got to polish that up a little bit. What I do for a living is I'm a solutions manager. I am a fixer, believe it or not, which is a really hard thing as I've gone through this course to say. I make a great living coming in and consulting and providing a very specific technology solution to a business problem. And I have to separate the two. But as I provide these solutions, my hope is to empower others so that they can take action with whatever we put into place, whether it's a technology, a process, a mindset, an organizational change, fill in the blank, right? So I hope to use some of the coaching material and lessons to improve that, but also as I work with people, I can bring them in as clients as well if they want to do a deeper dive.
Okay, so for me, that already, that even as a pitch, just on its baseline, you came to life when you started talking about more specifically what you do, and not so just something to think about when you're sharing this is what I do. Your light flips on when you're talking about what you do for your day job and how this might actually mix in with that, because I can see how it would and be helpful in many ways, but that is a key element in your pitch. I think it is a very important thing for you to talk about. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, when I saw him talk about how he's a fixer and it became a sense of humor, your sense of humor came out. And all of that is still going to be able to be a coachable moment, even if that is your day job concept, because the personality is going to attract the person you're working with. And then you go into the coach hat and do the coach model, even though that is not typically how you live your day, because you are seeing the patterns of things in that fixing and know where to go next. You can still see that in your coaching, but you're going to have the client become empowered and decide where that goes. So I definitely enjoyed seeing your personality come out. And then that's definitely something that will hook people in because it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. So use that to your advantage. Don't be afraid. It provided a lot of clarity, I think. So, okay, do we have any other questions? Anything come up, anything rise up? Because after this, we'll talk a little bit about level 2 and then we'll be done. So everybody, any other questions, guys? No? Okay, so real quick, I want to just shamelessly plug our level 2 class. So I would love for you guys all just took level 2 recently. Tell us about your experience, your greatest takeaway, what you enjoyed, how level 2 was for you guys. We haven't had level 2ers actually talk about level 2 for us yet. So please share and just call it out. Go ahead.
All right, I'll start because I was actually hesitant to take level 2 online because I wanted in person, and that was one of the reasons I chose Certified Life Coaching Institute. I did a lot of research, and I felt that I was the best. I learned best in person and hands-on. Boy, was I wrong, because online, you guys, it was amazing. It was we were able to bond and create those connections and have the same. It felt the same as if it was in person, and the activities and the exercises, everything just flowed seamlessly. So I am a believer. I will be taking more online interactive classes from now on, because one, I also like that I saved money, and that's my love language. So I didn't have to buy a hotel, I didn't have to rent a car, I didn't have to fly, and I was in the comfort of my own home and still making the connections worldwide with great new life coaches. So I highly recommend level 2 and Certified Life Coaching Institute.
Thank you. Carrie.
Yeah, so I had completed level 1 not long before I did level 2. And so level 1 was still fresh, and I thought level 1 was awesome. And going into level 2, I didn't know how it could even top level 1, and it did. It is such a deeper emotional experience. And to Tracy's point, the bonding was there. And I was one of the examples. I volunteered to be part of a session, and I think everybody that saw I had a breakthrough, but that tool has been super effective that I learned, and I've actually used it with other people that it has had a breakthrough with. And it's just a whole deeper level. And online was just I can't imagine it being any more emotional if we had been in person, but we just connected on a deeper level. It showed you how to kind of get underneath those blocks that people have, and really to get into some of the emotional things to help them move forward. And it was just an amazing experience. It was, I'm happy I did it. There's nothing I would change about it, and fully recommend it.
I completely agree. I want to dovetail on that as well, talking about the Zoom. Somebody from our class, I can't remember who it was, said, if we had been in a classroom, if we had been like in a hotel meeting room, I would have been staring at the back of everybody's head, as opposed to being on the Zoom, I'm able to look at everybody's face. And you truly, truly, truly created relationships by being able to do that. And like Carrie being very vulnerable in your activity that you walked through was amazing. And Desi was very vulnerable at one point that opened all of us to being more vulnerable. And I think for me, that was the key difference in level 2. Level 1 is phenomenal. And it's so great about coaching. And you learn about the differences in coaching and consulting. And, you know, you're learning truly the basics and how to ask questions. But this, oh my goodness, level 2 dove into you. Like it dove into you, into who you are. I feel like I am literally a different person coming out of it. I'm still trying to even come close to grasping everything that we learned, but I'm a different person having come out of it. And then as a coach, I mean, the epiphanies for me were so much about our perceptions of people, as opposed to, because if you think about it, even if we had been in a hotel room instead of on Zoom, we would have been attracted to the people that we saw that were like us, and we would have hooked up and talked to them all weekend long. As opposed to this, I mean, you were really broken out with totally different people. You didn't choose that. It was chosen for you, and I love that. You all talked so much in this class about our perceptions when we see someone, our automatic perceptions. And Dan just did such a good job in the curriculum. Honestly, kudos to you guys. Does such a good job of helping to undo some of those perceptions that we have, or at least make us aware of them so that we can address our clients differently. And really, I think just address our clients with so much more openness, because we don't know what we don't know. And so for me, it was amazing. It was such a paradigm shift on everything, as you all know, that I had spoken about before from all of my corporate years of corporate coaching and all. But I want to encourage those people that are even considering it, like Chris is saying, still loves his corporate job. Guys, this class is still for you. I was very lucky to be a very successful corporate sales manager and trainer for years. But what I started realizing, the reason I was successful was because I was a coach. So this dovetails so well with that for people that are in corporate as well.
Thank you so much, Bobby Lynn. Chris?
What they said. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Brilliant.
You know, I've said this before. I thought level 1 was, hey, come learn the trade. Figure out what you want to do if you want to go build your business. From here, now we got the tool set to grow the business. As Bobby Lynn mentioned, we had the opportunity to have these breakout sessions with people that we maybe not would have gravitated to in the room, or even have to put on a certain type of coaching hat that we weren't ready for. For example, I know that I was brought into a session where I had to be a relationship coach, and someone was saying, hey, you know, I've got someone who's knocking on my door after 30 years of not seeing them. Should I date him again? I don't know. Bobby Lynn, I think you had to put on a hat to be a fitness coach and help somebody figure out how to lose weight. And
30 pounds.
so,
to the questions and the techniques that we learned.
Yeah, I love that we had the toolkit and we were ready to go in and say, you know what? I don't care what my client needs this week. It could be anything. It could be anxiety. It could be divorce. It could be careers, relationships. The tools are universal. And we were able to better understand how we could leverage those tools through level 2.
Thank you. And Jerome, thank you for as well. Always he's an admin for level 2. And so, and Desi you were there for their level 2 as well, Desi, right? So I watch the whole thing, but I do it and you can't tell I'm there. But that was, thank you guys. I'm all shy right now about it. Appreciate it. Lisa, do you have anything?
I love that that's what your takeaway. We worked really hard on creating this to be a much deeper dive into the possibilities and open up more possibilities. The possibilities are what allow you to cater to the client. While on a marketing mindset, we're saying pick one. And when they actually come to you, you'll be able to do whatever they bring to the table because it's a skill set that grows no matter which way you operate as a coach. So thank you all for attending. Thank you all for receiving the message we were trying to share with you in building this level 2. I think for me, in my perspective, I think it's exponentially deeper. While 1, I think, is incredible and amazing, I think exponentially level 2 is just that much more. So I'm glad that that's what your takeaway was. Thank you so much.
I know. When we were making it, it was, I don't know, it was just very cool. Creating it was cool, but then the first time I actually took the class and sat through it, because we had worked on it. Lisa and I had worked forever on it, and then I got to see it come to life, and it was probably one of the coolest, most magical. I mean, I think I cried. I mean, it was just very cool to see how what we do on our end, not as coaches, but as a school, can actually help people and change their lives in that weekend, in that moment. And that was something that made me go, I'm fulfilling my purpose. That's kind of amazing. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
And Jerome's taken it as well. What are your thoughts?
So technically, I mean, I've taken it countless times.
Yeah. That's probably more than anybody.
So my perspective on just comparing level 1 and level 2, level 1 is kind of like what we're all mentioning. It's surface level. Here's the tools. Here's how to do this. And then when you move on to level 2, it's like, okay, you understand how to do this. It's applicable to all types of scenarios. It's very universal, the tool set that you are given. It's time to dig. You start digging, not only as a coach, not only developing your skills as a coach, but also developing ways to grow your business, which also was mentioned. So it is just like Bobby Lynn she mentioned, it becomes about you. It is figuring out your niche and honing in on it, and then becoming a lot more confident as an individual coach yourself.
I got one other thing to add that I think was an important part of the last day. As we broke in, we talked about the code of ethics and core competencies, and really how we protect ourselves and protect the good name of coaching within the industry. I think that was a really important part of level 2 that I think we should all remember, that there is a bar and there's a standard that we should all be upholding. It was discussed that anybody could come in and coach, but could anyone come in and coach correctly and understand what is the line that we're supposed to be towing, and how do we delineate coaching from consulting and mentoring and all that other stuff that's discussed in level 1.
Yeah, thank you. Desi, do you have anything to add?
I was just going to add, when I took level 2 with Jerome as students, we did it in person, and it was a great experience. And what Bobby Lynn expressed is we do tend to gravitate towards certain groups, certain people that mirror us in certain ways. And in level 2, I was actually, when I was in person, I had a lot of different energies because we were doing so many group changes that I actually didn't feel like I got to know everybody. And when I took level 2 online as an observer, and watching everybody, I wasn't even participating with your guys' class, but I already felt so much closer to you guys. And so level 2, like a lot of experiential workshops are done in person. And this was the first time I've done experiential workshop online. And it's phenomenal. It's amazing. So for any of you out there who are like, I'm waiting for level 2 to be in person, like I will tell you 110%, like do it online and take it again in person when you're ready, but don't wait, because level 1 is very much in the mind, it's logic. Level 2 is in the heart. And level 2 has you take this and bring it into the heart, and you're actually in a space of feeling for yourself, which then allows you to be through an experience that you can take someone else through. And it's so hard to take people through an experience you've never done. And so level 2, I feel so connected. Even just being the shadow and watching you guys, the friendships and the connections are so powerful.
And, you know, to add to that as well, the opportunity to truly coach. I love that in level 2. You know, level 1, we would break out for 20 minutes, or I can't remember what they were. But this, I mean, you truly got one-on-one coaching for an hour. And you guys would jump in the rooms with us and help us along the way or give us suggestions. But that was really powerful in building confidence and learning how. So thank you for having that in there and truly letting us coach.
Thank you guys. So we got to wrap it up. Our time is coming to an end. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for taking level 2. Thank you for all the amazing and the kind things you have said. If anybody watching wants to know what level 1, level 2, what all this coaching is about, check out Certified Life Coach Institute. Also, if you have questions about anything we talked about today, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Please share this with your friends, your family, whomever, with the world. Thank you for watching. Thank you guys so much for being here, and check out certifiedlifecoachinstitute.com, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.